And a touchdown for the Hamilton Tiger-Cats.
Hey everyone, Rick here from Ticats Talk Network, and this is the Ticats Talk After Dark, where we sit down, analyze, review the loss that happened Saturday night. It was a 5-point loss. We almost had it at the end, just close. And then I have my notes, and we'll go over all of the numbers and everything. Stuff to clean up and whatnot, how well everyone did. But so with that being said, we are going to start off in the first quarter. So we started it with a 20-yard pass to Kenny Lawler, of which went to the Hamilton 51, which was the first down. Nice play. Bull Levi Mitchell then throws a 13-yard pass to Greg Bell. I'm going to say this once, and please, I only have to say this one. 3 times in this game, we've had where Bo has thrown it over 10 yards. We've had a 15, I think, to 20, and I forget what Lawler's was later on in the game. 3 times we could have extended plays, but it's holding or offside, and it's starting to drive me up the wall. I don't care if we get penalties in games, because no team's going to get 0 penalties. But you have to understand, now we're starting at 1-20. Bo throws 3 yards, so now it's 2nd and 17. You're not going to throw a 17-yard pass 80% of the time, the way that we've been playing these last 2 weeks. Like, last week we were 9-20 on second down. Like, second down needs to get better. So then after Nick Constantino punts the ball, Adriel Lett, who's back in the lineup with Kadeem Carey as backup, ends up running 1 yard. Harris throws to Johnson for 13 yards to Saskatchewan 35. OJ would rush for 0 yards. Then Harris would throw it to Duncan Busby. My apologies, it's Busby for 12 yards to the Saskatchewan 47. Harris would then complete a short pass to Picton. Was this the one that I was thinking of? Or was there another one? I can't remember if this is the pass where I thought that Cachatonis almost had an interception, or if it was later on in the game. So this would be Trevor Harris would throw an interception to Jonathan Moxley at the Hamilton 25. Pass broken up to Severus Cachatonis, with Jonathan Moxley getting the interception. Returned it for 11 yards to Hamilton 36. Greg Bell would rush for a 4-yard loss. Followed up with a Ternowski 13-yard pass to the Hamilton 45. From there, Milanovic Litre would rush for 1 yard. Tim White would get a catch for 9 yards to the Hamilton 55. Then again, Litre goes back in and rushes for 1 yard for a first down. This I can understand that with this next one, Kenny Lawler and Campbell's feet trip up each other, so that's why it was accidental pass interference. But I mean, it was a large catch. He could have been open. It should just, like, I was hoping that was just going to be pass interference, but it was accidental pass interference. So we started at the Saskatchewan 44. Levi Mitchell would then throw to Litre for 3 yards. Then here we go again. Both throws to Keandre for 7. Would have been a first down. But then here we are again, holding on the offense once again. The next one, I actually have footage of this. So this is the one that what I like to call climb the ladder. So what I mean by climb the ladder, you'll see in a second once I show the highlights for this, but this is where Kenny Lawler goes up. I want to say at least a couple of feet off the ground for the 27-yard catch, but let's roll the footage. So then once he passes that, Greg Bell gets a 15-yard pass to the Saskatchewan 9-yard line, tackled by Marcus Sales. Then Bo throws a 9-yard touchdown and roll the footage. Mark Lego would kick off for 63 yards. Mario Alford would return it for 18 to Saskatchewan 35. Ouellette would rush for 18 yards to Saskatchewan 53. Harris would pass to Myers for a 3-yard loss. Harris would throw incomplete to Emilus, which was broken up by Wilburn. And then Couch would punt it 47 yards to the Hamilton 13. Wooden would return it for 18 yards to the Hamilton 31. So it would be, at this point, it would be 7-0 for Hamilton after 1. So far, so good. Then we start the second quarter with Greg Bell rushing for 7 yards. Levi Mitchell would then complete a pass to Keandre Smith for 25 yards to the Saskatchewan 47. Bo would then throw 3 yards to Saskatchewan 44. We would get time count. You know, sometimes that happens. And then Bo was sacked for 9 yards. Our offensive line had no pass protection for this game whatsoever. Constantino punts 48 yards to the Saskatchewan 10. Alford returns for 8 yards to Saskatchewan 18. Harris would throw to Emilus for 12 yards. It would be a first down to the 30. However, after the play, one of the new penalties that the CFL has is that anytime you slap, punch someone in the head, it's an automatic penalty. And that's why MLS got an unnecessary roughness penalty because he hit Catch-Jonas in the head. So then Ouellette would rush for 9 yards to Saskatchewan 24. Stevens would rush for 2 yards to get the first down. Ouellette would rush it for 3 yards, so it becomes 2nd and 7. This is Jamal Peters' one. Trevor Harris would throw it to Picton for 14 yards to Saskatchewan 43. Carey would rush it for 3 yards to Saskatchewan 49. Harris would throw it to Runge for 4 yards to Saskatchewan 53. Harris would throw it incomplete to Emilus. He'd throw it to Carey for 4 yards, so we're already at the Hamilton 48. Stevens would run for another first down on 2nd and 3rd and short. Ouellette would rush for 3 yards to Hamilton 43. Trevor Harris would throw incomplete to Ouellette. And this is kind of where Saskatchewan's night goes down the crapper. Brett Lothar kicked a field goal attempt of 51 yards. It was no good. Recovered by Wooden at the Hamilton -8. Wooden would return it 22 yards to the Hamilton 14. So right now it's still 7-0. At this point, Levi Mitchell would throw it. A completed pass to Tim White for 4 yards to Hamilton 18. Again, it's 2nd and 6. It's still manageable. I would rather you throw, and be 2nd and short, like 2nd and 1, 3. But I mean, it is what it is. Bo would throw pass incomplete to Ternowski. Then Constantino would punt it for 52 yards to Saskatchewan 40. Alford would return it for 23 yards. AJ Ouellette would rush it for 47 yards to touchdown. So now it's 7-6 with about 3:14 left. So not only did he miss the field goal, he missed an extra point. He kicks off 63 yards to the Hamilton 17. Isaiah Wooden Sr. would return it for 8 yards to the Hamilton 25. Bo would throw it to Keandre for 5 yards to the Hamilton 30. Okay, now we're manageable. 2nd and 5. Kind of short. Bo would then throw incomplete to Greg Bell, which was broken up by Sales. Constantino punts it to Saskatchewan 38. Alfred would return it for 1 yard. Tackled by Brian Cole II. Carey would rush it for 15 yards to Saskatchewan 54. Harris would pass it to MLS for 1 yard, so it's 2nd and 9. Harris would then throw incomplete. So it's 3rd and 9 at the Saskatchewan 55, where he would punt it to the Hamilton 13. Wooden Sr. would return it 9 yards to the Hamilton 22. Greg Bell would rush for 18 yards. Levi Mitchell would throw it to Keandre Smith for 0 yards. To be honest, I didn't even know Keandre Smith was injured. So luckily we got a bye week next week, so he can get healthy. Levi Mitchell would throw it to Ternowski for 23 yards at the to the Saskatchewan 47. Bo would throw incomplete to Kenny Lawler. Levi Mitchell would then throw incomplete to Bridges. And then Nick Constantino would punt 18 yards to Saskatchewan 29. Out of bounds at the 29. It was a legal punt, so they moved up 10 yards. Harris passed complete to Keyshawn Johnson for 14 yards to Saskatchewan 53. Harris would throw to Duncan Busby for 15 yards to the Hamilton 42. And again, Lothar would kick a field goal 55 yards. It was no goal, no good. Isaiah Wooden would return it from the Hamilton -3, returned it for 15 yards. The Hamilton 8. Miller Jr. would then get a face mask penalty, so it'd go from the 8 to the 23. So we had started at the Hamilton 23. And that's where it was at the end of the game. So then halftime, we have a video on the channel of the Hanley jersey ceremony. Go ahead and give that a watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now for the second half, Saskatchewan decides that they want to take the ball at the beginning of the game, so they're going to defer to the second half. Mark Legio would kick off 59 yards to Saskatchewan 6. Alfred would return it 25 yards to Saskatchewan 31. Daniel Bell would be injured on the play, so he would be holding his wrist, so it's most likely a wrist injury. AJ let Rushford 4 yards to the Saskatchewan 35. Trevor Harris pass complete to MLS for 6 yards. AJ Ouellette would rush for 2, make it 2nd and 8. Harris would pass to Duncan Busby. I keep on saying Bugsby, as in Bugs Bunny. Busby, which was incomplete. So Couch would punt it 46 yards to the Hamilton 21. Wooden would return it for 42 yards. So this upcoming play. So here's the problem with this interception. Is on my social media, I go and show 2 different photos. I show the photo of when Bo should have thrown it, and I show a photo of when Bo threw it. If he threw it when he should have, it would have been a completed pass to Tim White. But because he threw it when he did, a few seconds later, that's when Milligan Jr. caught it, and returned it for 64 yards for a touchdown. Duncan Busby's pass attempt was successful, so it kind of makes up for the extra point earlier. Lothar would kick it off for 67 yards to the Hamilton 13. Wooden would return it for 25 yards to the Hamilton 38. Greg Bell would rush it for 9 yards. So it's 2nd and 1. Lee Trey would rush it for 2 to get the first down. Bo Levi Mitchell would be sacked for a loss of 8 to the Hamilton 41. Then Bo would throw it to Samar Bridges at the Hamilton 45 for 9 yards. To the Hamilton 50. That should be 5, not 9. Oh no, it was at 41. Okay. Actually 9 yards. Right. Constantino would punt for 47 yards to the Saskatchewan 13. Alfred would return for 5 yards to the Saskatchewan 18. Harris would throw an incomplete pass to MLS, and then he would be sacked for 10 yards for Mario Hendricks' 2nd sack of the game, or 2nd sack of the season. So, just a side note, Mario Alford has played 4 CFL games, and in each one of those 4 CFL games, he's had 1 sack. So he's had 4 career games, 4 sacks. So he's had about a sack a game. Interesting, that was a statistic on TSN. So, Couch would punt 38 yards to Saskatchewan 46. Isaiah Wooden would return it 9 yards to Saskatchewan 37. Bo Levi Mitchell would throw a pass incomplete to Tim White. He would then throw a 7-yard pass to Kenny Lawler for 7 yards. So it would be 3rd and 3. So Mark Lanovich is like, oh, okay, we'll go for the 3 points instead of trying to risk it. So Lago decided to kick the field goal, a 38-yarder, which was good. We have Carey, who rushed for 1 yard, so it'd be 2nd and 9. Harris would throw a pass to Picton, which was broken up by Begna. Again, this would be 3rd and 9 at the Saskatchewan 41, but they decide that they're going to get offside on Hauser for 5 yards, so it's really 3rd and 4. Or 2nd and 4, because it's up 5 and no play. So then they get a second attempt at it, and it's Harris to Myers for 6 yards at the Saskatchewan 52. He throws to Duncan Busby for 10 yards to the Hamilton 48. Stevens rushes for 4 yards to the Hamilton 44. AJ Ouellette would rush for 4 yards to the Hamilton 40. Harris would throw to Duncan Busby for 19 yards to the Hamilton 21. Carey would rush for 4 yards to the Hamilton 17. Harris would throw an incomplete pass to Keyshawn Johnson, of which then Lawther finally kicks a field goal, which is good for 25 yards. So then Hamilton takes over at the 40-yard line, of which Lee Trey gets a 14-yard pass to Hamilton 54. He throws incomplete to Keandre Smith. And then another back to Keandre Smith for 16 yards to Saskatchewan 40 to end the 4th quarter. Now we're going to start the 4th quarter. At this point, it's 17-7. Very manageable, not a problem. So here's the thing with this first play is Levi Mitchell throws Kenny Lawler for 39 yards to Saskatchewan 1. The league reviewed it. It was not a touchdown. If you watch the footage, which I'm going to show you the footage, he takes 3 steps, goes out of bounds, his knees down, and you see the ball come out. So Saskatchewan's like, oh, I'll challenge the play. But it's a waste of a challenge because because they were trying to challenge that he didn't have full possession of the ball. But if you look at the footage, he's already walked 2 to 3 steps with the ball in his hand before his knee goes down out of bounds. So again, let's roll the footage.
First and goal of the 1-3.
So then after that, Lee Trey rushes for a touchdown before they could challenge it. Then you see Corey Mace run out till probably about the 50-yard line on the Hamilton side, yelling at the refs because he threw his challenge flag and none of the refs saw it. Here's the problem that I have with this is you have a coach, you have a ref by each side of the field. If the ref had saw it with how far Corey Mace ran out onto the field, they would have blown it dead. Here's my problem with this whole challenge play thing is, good thing is Lee Trey redid the 1-yard rush from first attempt. Let's take a step back and let's say, hypothetically, Lee Trey tried twice and didn't get the touchdown. So not only did the league refs miss the touchdown or call it a non-touchdown but a completed pass out at the 1, but then they beat out the play before they could challenge it, so it was already a touchdown. Then the refs are like, oh, let's go back and review that play. So, again, had the refs screwed up that and cost Hamilton that touchdown, you can bet you the league would have gotten a lot of backlash because of what the refs did on that play. Because that could have been a game-changing touchdown with how close this game was. That could have been a lot worse than what it did. But like I said, at least Lee Trey redid the down and it still got the touchdown, but it could have been a lot worse. So then Lego attempts the extra point, so he gets the extra point. Mark Lego kicks 69 yards to the Saskatchewan 11. Alfred would return it for 26 yards to the Saskatchewan 37. Harris would complete the pass to MLS at the Saskatchewan 46 for 18 yards to Saskatchewan 55. Harris would then throw a 23-yard pass to Myers. Hamilton challenged it, but play standed at the Hamilton 32. Harris would throw a pass complete to Keyshawn Johnson, but it was broken up by Talbot. He threw another pass to Picton, which was almost, I think this is the one. That was almost an interception by Cachetonis. Brett Lothar makes another field goal. This time it's at 40 yards. So Bully Levi Mitchell throws a pass incomplete to Point. He would then throw a 42-yard pass to Kenny Lawler, who's already been money so far tonight. So it's already at the Saskatchewan 28. Bully Levi Mitchell would throw short for 4 yards. Again, this is why. I mean, it's only 2nd and 6, but I would at least like 5 yards or more on first down. Bully Levi Mitchell throws incomplete to Kenny Lawler. So now Hamilton's forced to kick a field goal, 3rd and 6 at the Saskatchewan 24 for 32 yards. Harris would then throw to Keyshawn Johnson for 28 yards to the Hamilton 42. AJ Ouellette would rush for 1 yard to the Hamilton 41. Harris to Keyshawn Johnson for 13 to the Hamilton 28. And then another 13-yard pass to the Hamilton 15. Harris would then throw incomplete to Talbot. So again, they're specifically going to Talbot at this point because that's 3 pass attempts to Keyshawn Johnson with Talbot. So they thought that the Keyshawn Johnson caught it at the 1, but after review, they seen that he crossed the line. So again, the reffing for this game was atrocious because if you've seen the footage, you would already know that it was a touchdown. And if there's a ref standing at the back of the end zone, they would have seen him step in for the touchdown. Brett Lothar would kick the extra point. And then he would kick off for 63 yards to the Hamilton 17. Jonathan Moxey would return it for 22 yards to the Hamilton 39. Bo would throw to Kenny Lawler for 15 yards to the Hamilton 54. He would then throw again to Lawler for 8 yards to the Saskatchewan 48. Greg Bell would rush for 16 yards to the Saskatchewan 32. Bo would then throw back-to-back incompletions to Keandre Smith and Shamar Bridges. So, again, Mark Leggio has to come out and kick a field goal from 40 yards out to make the play good. Or to make the 40-yard field goal complete. Trevor Harris would throw to Keyshawn Johnson for 16 yards to the Hamilton 54. Trevor Harris would throw to Myers for 4 yards to the Hamilton 45, so it's 2nd and 1. Stevens would come in and rush for 3 yards to the Hamilton 42. AJ Ouellette would rush for 3 yards to the Hamilton 39, so it's 2nd and 7. And again, here we go again. Trevor Harris completed pass to Keyshawn Johnson, where on Talbert's side, for 12 yards to the Hamilton 27. So obviously, Dustin Talbert was having a hard time guarding Keyshawn Johnson. AJ Ouellette would rush for 1 yard to the Hamilton 26. Trevor Harris would throw it to Mares for 5 yards to the Hamilton 21. Brett Lothar would kick a field goal, so it'd be no good. So at this point, it is 55 seconds, 28 to 23, and all's Hamilton needs is they're down by 5. All's they need is a touchdown. 55 seconds left. So they start with their 20. They start at their 40. Bo Levi Mitchell throws to Tim White, incomplete. He then throws to Greg Bell for 11 yards. The Hamilton 51. Again, 2nd and long. We got to do better on these. Which, even though this one was complete. But 2nd and 10 at, or 1st and 10 at the Hamilton 51. Bo would then throw Kenny Lawler for 4 yards to the Hamilton 55. So then it's 2nd and 6 at the Hamilton 55. He throws incomplete. And then Bo throws to Greg Bell. Incomplete. Broken up by AJ Allen. Turnover on downs. And then Saskatchewan kneels it twice to win the game. So, let me bring it up. So, my points to the game. First off, congratulations goes out to Mark Leggio for now being the most accurate kicker in the Hamilton Ticats history. Congratulations. But here's a few things that I believe that we need. First off, we need to clean up on penalties on huge plays. A number of holdings and offsides when we had 10 plus passes. We got to do way better on 2nd down. Stop throwing the short passes on 1st down as it sets up 2nd and long, and we don't seem to have good luck on 2nd downs season. Bo needs to get on the same page as his receivers, as a lot of the players are dropping a lot of passes. Some are on the receivers. There was some today that were on the receivers, as some were easy catches, or that could have been easy catches. The run game needs to be better. 51 yards, better than last week, but I still think that we can do better on that. We just better run block. Defensive line needs to get better at putting more pass pressure on the opponent's quarterback. As you could tell in the last 3 minutes or so, Trevor Harris had way too much time in the pocket. Run defense needs to get better as they give yet another 100 yards on rushing this game. Our offensive line missed some key blocks on pass block, which caused some sacks. Bo needs to not rush the passes like the one in the third quarter where he throws it right at Tim's feet. Special teams return coverage needs to work on that, as there was a few times where the opposing team would catch it at like the 12 and they'd return it. Say for 20 to 30 yards and they're already at the 40. That's happened, one or a couple of times tonight. Cachetonis almost had 2 more interceptions. Won the tip from Johnson in the end zone. And then the next play at the Picton complete. Multiple receivers missed some passes. Waller, White, Andre, again, there's probably other receivers I haven't mentioned that missed passes that could have been first downs and such. And as far as the Milligan touchdown, I've already touched base on that, and I've already touched base on the refs. So let's go look at the player stats, then we'll do the team stats. So we're going to start with the away team. So Saskatchewan, Trevor Harris went 26 for 37, 25 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, average of yards per throw. AJ Ouellette had 13 carries for 96 yards, 1 touchdown, and he went 7.4. Gideon Carey had 4 carries for 26 yards, average of 6.5. Tommy Stevens had 4 carries for 11 yards for an average. Keyshawn Johnson went 8 for 11 for 124 yards for 1 touchdown, average of 15.5. Duncan Bugsby went 5 for 6 for 59 yards, 11.8. Dante Myers went 5 for 5 for 40 yards, average of 8. Samuel MLS, after going 8 for 8 for 113 yards, I think it was, last week. He went 4 for 8 for 37 yards this week. Averaged 9.3. Michelle Picton went 2 for 4 for 22 yards, average of 11. Kadeem Carey had 1 for 1, 9 yards. 11 on the average. And then Morgan Runge, never heard of this receiver. He went 1 for 1 and 4 yards. Defense, Marcus Siles had 9 defensive tackles. DeMarcus Fields and Jamar Thurman each had 5 defensive tackles, with Thurman having a sack. AJ Allen had 4 defensive tackles. CJ Rivas had 3 defensive tackles and an interception. Nelson Lacombo had 3 defensive tackles. Tevion Campbell had 2 defensive tackles. Roland Milligan Jr. had 1 defensive tackle and an interception. Shea Ray had a defensive tackle and tackle for loss. Michael Johnson and Deshaun Johnson each had 1 defensive tackle. Brett Lothar went 2 for 5, so he missed 3 field goals and an extra point. He got a single, so he went 40%. Joe Couch went for 4 punts for 43.3 on average. Longest was 47. Mario Alford had 5 punt returns. For 44 yards. Brett Lothar had 4 kickoffs for 254 yards. And then Mario Alford had 4 kickoff returns for three kickoff returns for 69 yards and an average of 23. If we take a look over at the Hamilton side, we have Levi Mitchell went 26 for 40. Now, we cannot keep on having... So, in 2 games, Levi Mitchell has thrown 90 passes in 2 games. That is bloody ridiculous. So hopefully, it doesn't have to be throwing that. However, he did have over yet another both 300 game, as he had 336 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, for an average of 8.4. Greg Bell had 5 carries for 46 yards for an average of 9.2. And Milanovic Litre had 4 carries for 5 yards for an average of 1.3 with 1 touchdown. Kenny Lawler went 8 for 10 for 162 yards, average of 20.3. DeAndre Smith went 4 for 6 for 46 yards and 11.5. Greg Bell went 6 for 8 for 44 yards and 7.3. Tyler Ternowski went 2 for 4, 36 yards, 18 on average. Tim White, 3 for 7, 22 yards, 1 touchdown, 7.3 on average. Litre went 2 for 2, 17 yards, average of 8.5. And Shamar Bridges, 1 for 3 for average of 9. So if we go to the defensive side, Kyle Wilson, Dustin Talbot both lead the defense with 6 defensive tackles. You have Stavros Katratonis, Ray Wilburn, and Jamal Peters, each with 5 defensive tackles. Julian Hauser with 6 defensive tackles. Brandon Dozier with 3. Tyjon Garbett and Mile Fox and Casey Sales, each with 2. Jonathan Moxey had 1 defensive tackle with an interception. Deshaun Amos had one defensive tackle. Mario Kendricks had 1 defensive tackle and a sack. And then Isaiah Bagna had 1 defensive tackle. Mark Lego went 3 for 3. His longest was 40 with 2 extra points, 100% on the season. Or 100% on the game, I should say. Nick Constantino had 6 punts. .48 on the average. His longest was 52 yards. Isaiah Wooden had 4 punts. Punt returns for 57 yards, average of 43.3. Mark Leggio had 3 kickoffs for 191 yards, average of 63.7. And then Isaiah Wooden had 3 kickoff returns for 45 yards, average of 15. And Jonathan Moxley had 1 kickoff return for 22 yards for an average of 22. As we take a look at the team stats, Saskatchewan had 37 attempts for 295 yards, average of 8. Hamilton had 40 pass attempts for 336 yards and 8.4 on average. Saskatchewan had 133 yards on 21 attempts for 63.2. Hamilton had 49 rushing yards on 9 attempts for 5.7. Net offense for Saskatchewan was 416 yards on 61 plays for 6.8. Hamilton's net offense was 370 yards on 51 plays for 7.3. First downs was 7 for 18, as Hamilton was 6 for 12. Saskatchewan had 2 sacks for 17 yards, whereas Hamilton had 1 for 10. Saskatchewan had 13 for 23 on second down attempts for 56.5%, whereas Hamilton was 9 for 20 on 45%. Saskatchewan had 1 giveaway, as Hamilton had 1 interception. Saskatchewan had 3 penalties for 40 yards, as Hamilton had 5 penalties for 40 yards. Saskatchewan went 1 for 2 in the red zone for 50%, as Hamilton went 2 for 2 for 100%. Each team had 1 tackle for loss. Saskatchewan had 1 interception for 64 yards, whereas Hamilton had 1 interception for 11 yards. Saskatchewan went 2 for 4 on field goals for 40%, whereas Hamilton went 3 for 3 for, it's 2 for 5 with the longest being 40, and Hamilton went 3 for 3 with the longest being 40. Saskatchewan had 4 punts for 173 yards for an average of 43.3. Hamilton had 6 punts for 251 yards for an average of 41.8. Saskatchewan had 5 punt returns for 44 yards, 8.1. Whereas Hamilton had 4 punt returns for 57 yards at 14.3. Kickoffs, Saskatchewan had 3 for 69 yards, average of 23. Hamilton had 4 for 67 yards, average of 16.8. Hamilton had 2 field goal returns for 33 yards, and then for time of possession will be 33 minutes and 9 seconds for Saskatchewan, whereas it was 26 minutes and 51 seconds for Hamilton. As we look at the standings now, Saskatchewan is tied for first. However, Calgary has the tiebreaker currently because they have the better point differential. So Saskatchewan second. Winnipeg is third. BC is fourth. Edmonton is last. Res in the east. Montreal is first with 2-0 record. Hamilton is 0-2 in second with a tiebreaker of point differential. And then you have Toronto in third at 2-0 and Ottawa in fourth. If you look, 3 Hamilton teams have the worst defense so far. Keep in mind that's only been 2 games. Then it goes Saskatchewan 4th, BC 5th, Calgary 6th, Edmonton 7th, Montreal 8th, and Winnipeg so far in, well, I'm saying worst defense. And then Winnipeg has the 9th best, points against, so they would be first in the league with 20 points, but they have only played 1 game. So with that being said, this week, we are, I'm just trying to think, what do we have coming up? We have Montreal after the bye week, Toronto, Ottawa, and BC. So our next, 1, 2, 3, 4. our next 4 out of in the next 5 weeks, we have 4 games. I will be at all of them. As the Hamilton game against Montreal is at home. This one will be in Toronto, so I will be at that one as well. Then we have Hamilton at Ottawa. I will be at that one. Oh, I missed the first Ottawa. This one here. July 12th, we will be hosting Ottawa. I will be at that one. And then Hamilton at Ottawa. I will be at that one. But for now, since we are on a bye next week, we will not have our preview until the 26th. When our depth charts come out. Next week, I'll still have a video on fantasy preview. Monday, I'm going to record the fantasy review for week 2 and see how we did with fantasy and pick'ems. But this is Rick from Ticats Talk Network, and have yourself a great rest of your day.